Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this week's Talking Point. Today in our studios we have the United Kingdom CEO of the international non-government organization NGO BRAC. Welcome to the show, Mary Garvey. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure and an honor, and I'm so glad that you could manage to come here on a working day and brave the weather. Obviously, we have had a very good weather today.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful.
For the benefit of our viewers, Mary, can you explain in a few sentences what is BRAC and how this idea took off? Later we will see a DVD that's been very nicely prepared and presented, but just your view on this topic.
So BRAC is an organization that is totally committed to creating opportunities for poor people, so that poor people can move out of poverty and take control of their own lives. It was born in Bangladesh in 1972, and for about 30 years it remained inside Bangladesh, but it has now grown into an international development organization.
It's about 41 years now, isn't it?
41 years, yes, yeah. And it's now the biggest international development organization in the world, and also one of the most successful organizations in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
When you say providing opportunities, what sort of opportunities do you provide to the unfortunate people who are still struggling with daily course of life?
Well, BRAC recognizes that poverty is quite complex, very complex, and there are many, many different causes of poverty. So to actually enable people to move out of poverty, we take a very multi-pronged, holistic approach.
Right.
So we provide services such as microfinance. People can take small loans in order to develop livelihoods.
Right.
We also recognize that unless other issues are addressed, like lack of education, lack of access to health facilities,
Lack of training,
lack of access to water and sanitation, unless all these issues are addressed, and awareness as well of their rights there. So unless all of that is addressed in a very holistic way, people are likely to slip back into poverty.
Right.
So BRAC offers many, many different programs to people and supports them in their journey out of poverty.
Right. You have a plate full of problems to deal with.
We do.
I was reading about BRAC, and it has been said that BRAC tackles the causes of poverty and helplessness at the root and plants trees of hope.
Yes.
It's been very well said by a Nobel laureate, I think the Wangari Maathai.
Okay.
What is the cause of poverty? We'll talk about it later, but just briefly.
Causes of poverty are many, many causes, as I've said, and it's mainly about inequality, unequal access to resources, lack of power and control. So all these issues need to be addressed, and people often talk about us addressing it at the root. One of the characteristics of BRAC is it works very much at a community level. So works alongside people in the community, builds their capacity, so a lot of training and development of community members, so that they themselves can take that journey out of poverty.
As they say, there is no single cause for poverty, and so you take, as you said, that a multiple front attack on the causes of poverty. But how can, like, a person who doesn't have money, doesn't have education, doesn't have the resources, and even doesn't have the health, How do you deal with
Okay.
a family or a person like that?
Okay. Well, BRAC has realised that there are some people who find it very difficult to access any kind of programmes, even programmes that are happening in their own communities, because they struggle just to exist day by day.
Right.
So we've actually set up ultra-poor programmes, working specifically with the bottom 10% of people in a community.
Is that what you call hardcore poor?
Hardcore poor, if you'd like to express it like that. And we initially support them through maybe help providing money so that if they need health services, they can access them, maybe providing food support, and we actually give them assets. BRAC doesn't often give things for free, but we do for the very ultra poor, so we may give them assets such as chickens or goats or calves, and then we support them to look after those assets and to develop and grow those assets. And that's very intense support. So we have staff who will visit communities once a week for up to 2 years and really support those families to move out of poverty. And it is hardcore poverty, and it needs a lot of hard work.
Right.
But we do have programs that are specifically addressing the really ultra poor.
You have a large number of people working for you, and I think there's a DVD that talks about all these things. So hopefully we will, in a few minutes or in a few seconds, we'll be able to see that, the DVD, and then we'll possibly understand more about because a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but I'm always intrigued by how is it that you identify a family? Your people go there in the villages, and then or the people come to BRAC's offices?
No. So before we start work in any community, be it in Bangladesh or in Africa or other parts of Asia, because we're very global now, we go to a community, talk with the community leaders, talk with the local authorities, and work with them to identify the very poorest. So it's done in a very participative way. When we're working with really poor people, we also work with the rest of the community to encourage them to support those people. And that does work amazingly well in a community, that other people will support them.
Right. All right. I think we'll have the DVD on our screens now, and we'll sit and watch, and we will see how well it has been presented, and I'll take your word for that.
Okay, great.
Right, sir.
In 1970, a monstrous cyclone devastated what was then East Pakistan. 500,000 perished. Millions were destitute. Within months, a savage civil war erupted as the region fought for independence. In 1971, the nation of Bangladesh was born, but it was in shambles.
I went into an area which was extremely devastated. There was a lot of houses destroyed. Livestock was decimated. The farmers didn't have any plows. And that suddenly brought to me the extreme vulnerability of people in situations like this. And that's how BRAC was born.
Ahmed was an executive with Shell Oil, but he quit his job and recruited 24 young volunteers. They built houses and rehabilitated farmland. They established health clinics. In time, BRAC's mission shifted from disaster relief to long-term development. Then, Ahmed decided that BRAC should think big.
In 1979, it was the International Year of the Child, and we thought, what could we do to bring down child mortality in our country?
Nothing claimed more young lives than diarrhea, caused by waterborne diseases like cholera. Diarrhea kills through dehydration. The standard treatment with intravenous fluids was no option in communities with no health facilities. Ironically, researchers in Bangladesh had recently shown that dehydration could also be treated orally, with water mixed with salt and sugar. The added ingredients allow the body to absorb and replace lost fluids. Oral rehydration therapy was a monumental breakthrough. Mothers could now save their children with simple household supplies. They just didn't know it yet.
That discovery was there, but it was not disseminated. Most people didn't know how to prepare oral rehydration solution and how to administer it. So we decided basically to go from house to house and teach one woman in every household how to make oral rehydration fluid at home.
BRAC trained an army of instructors. Teaching the formula took minutes. Half a liter of water, 1 pinch of salt, and a fistful of sugar. Teaching 13 million women took about 10 years. But child mortality rates were cut in half. The success of the campaign gave BRAC the confidence to scale up all its projects.
I mean, once your organization has been to every household in rural Bangladesh, then of course the entire country becomes your backyard, and you could really think in terms of expanding all other kinds of programs throughout the nation.
Look, the children are pooping in the water and the people are using it. Is that acceptable?
Today, BRAC has become one of the largest non-governmental organizations in the world. It employs over 90,000 people and runs programs that reach over 100 million. In the last 3 decades, its health volunteers have helped cut the nation's birth rate in half and improved lives throughout Bangladesh.
One of the great challenges in public health is taking a program that you've shown to succeed in a community and scaling it up to a whole country. BRAC shows how it's possible. They franchise, they replicate, they use in effect the same model that McDonald's used on hamburgers. Instead, they're saving people's lives.
BRAC is largely self-funded, with profits from its commercial arm. It channels the handiwork of rural artisans into its department stores. It runs food processing plants and banks. But its focus never wavers from the place where it began. Here in the villages, BRAC is transforming lives.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that DVD, the story of how BRAC began and its operations. See, Mary, I wanted to ask you, what are the priorities of BRAC? I know it's focused on women and grassroots empowerment, health and education, empowering the farmers, inclusive financial services, and self-sustaining solutions. But how do you go about addressing these so many problems in one go?
Okay. So I think one of BRAC's strengths is that it takes an idea and it tries it out. As we saw on the video, it tried out oral rehydration solution, tries it out, is very careful about measuring impact, what change is it having on a small scale.
Right.
So it's very strong on monitoring, on research, on evaluation. And it takes a model on a small scale, and if it's not working, it will adapt it slightly, and then it will scale up.
Right.
So BRAC is very much about having a large impact as quickly as possible. We're not about doing small programs here and there. So that would be one of our priorities. It's also about sharing our learning. So BRAC in Bangladesh has learnt a huge amount about development, what works well and what doesn't work well. BRAC is now committed
Who do you share your learning with? Other NGOs?
We share it with other NGOs. At the moment, we are taking BRAC's experience in Bangladesh to other countries in Africa and in Asia. So we now work in Afghanistan, huge program in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Sierra Leone, Liberia, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan, and we're just opening our program in Myanmar as well.
Are these programs equally broad-based like that in Bangladesh, or?
At the moment, some of them are quite slow, quite small, but our aim is to make them very broad-based and to have the same approach, which is addressing all the different aspects of poverty. So at the moment, we're taking the learning from Bangladesh, which is huge,
Right.
and adapting. Because the context in many countries that we're moving
so
into
different.
very, very different. The context, the culture, the geography, the history, all very, very different.
Okay, Mary, time has run out for the first segment, and we'll take a break.
Thank
and when
you.
we come back, we'll definitely talk about the different kind of work and focus that you use and utilize in working for the goal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers. We'll have to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Mary Garvey, UK CEO of BRAC. Thank you. Don't go away, we'll be back soon.
আপনারা দেখছেন টকিং পয়েন্ট, সৌজন্যে মাহবুব & কো অ্যাকাউন্টেন্টস।